too
Yeah,
much.
I think so. Is it connected to the? Yeah, it is.
Ham
Let's see,
bone?
it goes to the. Haha, very funny.
To the
It's
Mhm.
middle. Yeah, right. It's the two.
okay, good. I
Okay.
just hear my own nasally tone
No, I tested these.
and breathing.
These are all good.
Okay, good.
None of that shit. Well, Georgia.
Welcome, Georgia.
Hello.
We'll start it
Hi.
here. Ready, set. Welcome, Georgia.
Welcome, Georgia.
Hi.
Oh man, this
We
is
really started strong.
honestly. We could have just kept talking about what we were talking about.
I had to
Briefly
know.
overthink
introduce
it,
you. No, it's
which is
fine.
my life. All right, so Georgia is a Pittsburgh-based
Mm-hmm.
comedian, as they.
Oh.
Oh gosh, and does
you
the
can
bits,
leave now. Yes.
and is great, and but also that's not why we have people on this show.
That is not. That's really tangential.
We
actually.
only accept gifted students into our program.
That-
So Georgia passed the test.
She did. She turned in her Scantron this morning.
Mhm.
Actually. So did you guys have? Is that what they call it everywhere? A Scantron?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what they call them
Sure.
in West Virginia. Little scribbly Philly dots.
Yeah, bubble sheets.
All right, turn in your cootie shots, your circle dot dots.
I'm going to re-drown Houston.
Do it. Oh my, fucking wipe it off the map.
Man.
No.
No.
Gosh. Okay.
And so this is how we bring people in. Interesting people that we like that pass our test.
Correct.
If you'd like to take the test, please send. We have a PO box. Okay, so
Yeah.
the point is though, it's great to have people in the studio with us here at Steel City Arts Foundation podcast studio, which we should give a shout out to.
Shout out.
To the people who have sponsored this equipment here and provided the space and a wonderful place. And that's where
Honestly,
I met Georgia. But where did you meet Georgia? On the mean streets of the open mics? Tell me.
basically,
Yes.
literally, we met at Parkway Theater and Lounge.
I don't know if you know this, but I went to Mario's
But prior to that.
prior to that.
Oh.
And you introduced yourself to me. And I was like, wow, this is so much nicer than Denver. Someone actually spoke words to me. This is cool.
I am not representative of most comic comedians.
That is true. But then it was Parkway. And
Yeah, that's where we really
yeah.
clicked.
Zivan saw me drive up in my car.
And I was like,
gotta
it's
have
odd.
that friend.
Yes.
It's odd. I see four wheels. It is over.
Get that friend.
No, yeah, you were my first comedy friend.
Mm-hmm.
And Mario's was an open mic that Zivan hosted in Oakland,
Oh, God.
which is not Oakland, California, but Oakland, Pittsburgh.
And not Auckland, New Zealand.
I remember that Full House episode. You
Mm.
remember that Full House episode?
I'm
They
just
snuck
thinking-
onto an airplane? Wow, I'm old. Okay.
I was,
and,
I was never a Full House kid.
oh,
I think
okay.
you were
There were
on Full House,
opportunities,
Chris.
but-
I
The
think,
girls, well, was it the girls? I picture it being the Olsen twins, but they both weren't on the show at the same time. It was, I think, the little,
Mm-hmm.
and then the
The
middle
girl
sister.
DJ,
I don't think DJ, would DJ have gone? I think it was Stephanie that went.
maybe.
It was some of the girls, either two or
Mm-hmm.
all three of the girls got on an airplane, snuck on a flight, and they said, it'll be easy because they were in San Francisco, right? They're like, it'll be fun. We're just going to fly
To
to
Oakland.
Oakland. And they're
Yeah.
like, nope, this is going to Auckland.
Mm.
And then they turned the plane around. I don't remember what happened.
They did something.
They hijacked the airplane. and
Oh,
So,
boy.
Pre 9/11 sitcoms were
Yeah.
honestly freewheeling and dealing. Will Smith
Anyhow.
goes to the Pentagon.
you hosted an open mic, which I've also hosted an open mic. Georgia, have you hosted an open mic in your life?
No, I'm only a
That's-
guest of the
yes,
open mic.
good.
No, you've hosted well, let's see. You've hosted
I hosted St. Clair's.
St.
I
Clair's.
hosted Mario's a few times. I mean,
Yeah.
I've done it.
but you've never had your own little fucked up
Yeah.
piece of shit,
Yeah.
just mutant baby.
Yeah.
Being very vulgar on this one. I'm sorry,
That's
Yeah, why is an open mic a mutant baby? But
Chris.
I'm
it
like
is
a
a-
good fill-in host, to be
Yeah.
honest.
You
well,
are.
a fill-in host when you're running a mic, having a good fill-in is
Crucial.
huge.
Yes.
I think the first two times I should have met Zivan, I was at Mario's, and he was not.
So
I think it was Brandon was hosting,
it was
and
the beginning of my dismount.
yeah, exactly. How long did you last hosting that?
A year and a half.
That's long. That's
Yeah.
it's
That is.
dog years. It's
oh gosh, it felt like forever. You know what's funny is I have periodically met previous employees of that bar, and they'll be peppered in. Like I met one at Scarps. I met one while mini golfing. He works there now. And they're like, "Do you remember us? Do you remember us?" And I'm like, "I kind of do. What's up?" And they're like, "Yeah, we used to work at Mario's. That place blows." And I'm like, "Yes, it blows." Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Not a great place.
But you need a sticky floor for for things to work.
Oh,
Yeah.
the bar part was fine.
Yeah.
That was okay. That was not. It was mainly just I got very little support from the staff.
And what support did you expect to get
I
out
was
of
gonna
the
say
staff?
out of an open mic.
I just needed them to tell people that an open mic was happening upstairs when people were downstairs. That's all.
Your job, dude.
That is not my job. That is not my job. My
you
job is
gotta
to
bark for the mic.
bark for. Already, I'm out. Nope, none
Yeah.
of that shit. Maybe I don't have it, but not nope. I did try to do that. I tried to get Jeff Fieldhouse and Trevor Austin to bark once.
Wow.
I had a wireless mic, and I had them do it.
Oh, that's right. You did have a wireless mic.
Yeah,
because I went on a rare date that night, and you were standing outside of the sushi place next to Mario's as soon as we walked out, and she really wanted to go to a mic, and I was like, "You don't want to do this.
No.
It's gonna get weird when we walk out these doors." And Zivan was there immediately with a microphone, yelling jokes at this girl.
Yeah, exactly. So,
And that's when it all ended.
honestly.
Yeah.
But enough about that.
Yeah. Georgia, then what was your favorite subject in school?
Oh God. That's a hard question
We can
because it evolved.
maybe a favorite class. We can do it that
Okay.
way. Not
Okay.
subjects are boring. Tell me about the
I
classroom.
really liked.
the teacher, the kids.
I really liked English and math. I was like a really pro school kid. Like I was an only child. So like I
makes sense.
would like wake up in the morning, be so freaking excited, and then
Were you a perfect attendance kind of kid?
fuck no.
Oh.
No.
She still could not be
I
bothered.
think I got
but-
it 1 year. 1 year. But I mean, I was like a germy little
Goodness
kid.
gracious. I apologize. Ronnie Fleming walked in and he's wearing the referee hat.
He's also
Amazing.
wearing those new Malcolm
From-
X glasses.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my
I
gosh.
can't take it. I can't even be present anymore.
Yeah, no.
Oh boy. So you would hustle off to school excited to learn. Did you like the learning process or did you like the achieving a grade process
Oh, that's a good distinction.
or something else?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think when I was in elementary school, I really liked learning, and like middle school, and then it turned into like a social thing.
Seeing everyone.
Yes.
How with the hallways between classes? I feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
that could be the most fun thing I've ever done in my life.
It's a reaction chamber.
Yeah.
Like a piston and an engine.
And then in high school, I got a group of friends that we were all like the honors kids, and they would log in to like my grades and check them for me, like because they were really into like the grades of it all. Like they all wanted valedictorian. I didn't want valedictorian. I just wanted to pass and not be in trouble at home.
Oof.
So
Yeah.
I was like A's and B's. That's good with me. And I ended up like 9th in the class, and like I think it was like the top 5 people all had above a 4.0.
Right.
And the person that got valedictorian got it because they did less classes than everyone else.
Because they wouldn't do like band because it would drop their GPA.
Oh,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
they
yeah.
would do half days towards the end, where they'd be like, "Oh, I have to work," like, and it's supposed to be like extenuating circumstances.
I see.
That was not what was happening here.
I see.
That was not at all. But you could take a half day if you were either starting college early or just doing work. But I used to take like college night classes in high school, and I never
okay.
took a half day.
Very smart.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Smart.
Usually pays well. Like you don't have to pay for the college classes, or did you still have to pay?
Oh
for
no,
them?
I had to pay.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes they have like programs where you can like sneak into those classes, like an AP kind of thing. And
It's called an open window policy.
Well, I
yeah?
took AP
no, I
too,
made that up.
but our AP classes were terrible, so bad. Like I did AP English. There were like 30 some of us in the classroom, and we all like took the exam. 3 of us got 3s to pass,
Very nice.
and that was like the top of it. And all my friends were like, how did you do that? Like,
oh, wow.
not you. Because I was always like the chaotic smart kid, you know? But I was always good at English. So the writing portion, I think, got me there.
That makes sense. Did you guys ever have classes where, this is in high school, where they would insist that this is a college class? Like they would basically say, this is a college class, this is what it's going to be like in college.
Sure.
Because this is like an AP class or an AP prep whatever class. I hated that shit. I hated hearing that. Because it's not true.
College isn't true either.
It's
farce.
College was way more chill.
Way more chill. Are you kidding me? You can like freaking summon a TA every third exam. You can just be like, I just don't know how to do this. And they're like, well, just kind of. It's much, much, much easier in college.
Well, I forgot. I took a dual credit class, too, after the AP class because I didn't want to risk not passing the other AP exam.
Mm-hmm.
And that teacher was nuts, dude.
Really?
Like, was telling kids to drink, like, draino smoothies. Like, was a crazy woman. Like, the principal would call regularly, and she'd put him on speaker on the phone. And I don't know if I should use her real name. I'm going to. Whatever. She's cool. But the principal would come across and be like, Mrs. Jefferson, can you pick up the phone, please? And she'd be like, I'm not.
In the middle of class?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And she'd be
I'm
like,
not here.
Did you threaten the student today? And she'd be like, no, Mr. So-and-so. I'm not going to say his name because he still works there. But no, like, I tell the kid to behave better. They were on my nerves. And yeah, she was absolutely insane, but she loved me. Like, it was weird.
That makes sense, though.
When did you start? What am I trying to say? When was the first time you ever were a teacher's favorite? Was it this woman?
Oh, my entire
from the jump.
Dude, that was my defense strategy.
Is get on the teacher's side.
Yeah, because I was always in trouble. So I was adorable and funny. Like, I'd have inside jokes with the teachers to win them over.
Pleasure to have in class.
Yeah, that's entirely... Yeah,
well, I guess that's a slightly different thing, but it's the same.
Well, because I learned... So, kindergarten, I was very smart. Hadn't been tested for the gifted program yet, so they didn't know.
We didn't know. You were not on our radar.
Yeah,
then.
No. They knew, but I was also the youngest kid in the class.
Oh, that's right.
And they told me that I was the oldest kid in the class. They had the year wrong and taught me my birthday was 95 and not 96. The teacher. And then when my mom found out in like April of that school year, she was like, hey, like George's birthday is wrong on the thing. And she was like, no, it's not. And my mom was like, I was there.
I think I would.
I was very much involved in this process.
There wasn't a calendar in the room, but
she thought that I was like a whole year more mature than what I was. And this was like a private Catholic school. And yeah, her whole mentality was like, you do your work and then sit there and just twiddle your thumbs.
Just look and pray.
And I needed something else to do. So I would talk to every single person around me. They sat me by every single kid in the class.
Hell yeah.
They kept moving you?
Yes.
Because you were
and they took away my recess every day.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So I had all this pent-up energy.
Yeah, no, that's volcanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And... yeah.
All right. What's the worst? So it was chatting out of boredom. What was the worst behavior that you?
Oh, it was always talking.
It was just talking?
It was always talking.
I'll tell you the worst thing I did.
Oh, please.
Let's go.
First grade. This lives with me. I'm embarrassed to this day. There was the teacher had the projector up on the screen and was explaining something. And of course I figured it out. I got it. And by the way, I was dumb in other grades. I went through cycle. I thought college was hard.
Word.
But first grade was a breeze. And I'm sitting there, and the teacher's showing something on the board, talking through it, and a kid's like, I don't get it. And kid keeps asking questions. And it might have been multiple kids in the classroom, because I don't remember singling anybody out. But I got out of my seat, and I walked up to the board, and I pointed to where the thing was. I was like, it's right here. Here's the thing. Here's what she's trying to tell you about. And I thought I was like being helpful, but I was also being a turd. And I just remember staying in from recess and writing on the board, I will stay in my seat.
Did you have to do lines?
Like, yeah, over and over.
Oh, that's old school.
I'm old, I guess. But
no, it's just
it was just me being the thing that I would get accused of was not paying attention.
Yes.
Right.
Word.
And then they'd ask you a question, and then you had the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you had a few opinions about it.
And then
Yeah.
they'd get pissed.
They get
because
flustered because it's like, well, then what do you want to do?
It was like, I know what's going on. I'm just bored
Yeah.
as shit.
I could just
like,
keep my eyes somewhere else.
Well, I also did have a tendency in like preschool, kindergarten, where there was apparently, quick story, I got out of my chair in like kindergarten and I like danced and twirled around the room because I like could not sit down anymore. And then the teacher said that I just went right back to my desk and put my head down because that was the punishment for what I had done. Like I knew fully the full cycle
that
of
was
what
happening.
was going to happen,
You
but
get
I just
conditioned.
needed to do it.
You get conditioned.
Like I needed to get up and move. I was
That's
like,
really
you don't
good.
give me recess.
No, that's horrible. That actually
Like I'm
is terrible.
5.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so dumb.
But yeah, that one I ended up switching schools after that, and then I had my aunt in first grade as my first grade teacher.
Oh, cool.
And she gave me a C in conduct.
Oh, that's great. Of course you would.
Yes, and she was like, she always says, I would have given you a D if you'd earned it. But yeah, that was another one where I was just, I was still.
They actually tried to withhold me from the gifted program because of my conduct. So they did the cognitive battery, and that was, as they say.
That's what you called it.
That's what I called
I
it.
love
called
the
it-
pretentious
they
voice
called
that
it
needed to
the
sneak
bubble
out
sheet.
of you.
It's locked within. But they gave me the normal tests, and that was fine. But because my conduct was so bad, they were just like, we can't let him loose on these poor, regular gifted children.
Mm.
These like actually good gifted. No, they couldn't have it. So I stay. Actually, at one point I got kicked out of my 4th grade class because here's what happened. A guy named Glenn Lauritzen. Glenn Lauritzen.
Are we all giving real names today? I gotta drop someone's name.
Yeah, it's on you right now.
Okay.
Glenn, he and I had a little nemesis
Oh,
thing
gosh.
going on because
It lives with you forever.
Well, because he would always snitch on me. The guy could not keep his goddamn mouth shut.
But you also had a conduct problem.
Well, it's not his problem, okay? Let's maybe keep our hands to ourselves. But no, seriously. Anyways, for whatever reason, he gets me in trouble. And I remember going into the bathroom after him, and I took a handful of the soapy
Oh boy.
soap, the foamy soap.
You had foaming soap in your bathroom?
Yeah, it was on a spaceship.
Foaming soap? Yeah, yikes. Oh,
Honestly.
man.
I doubt it. I don't think we did.
No. Is that wait, hold on, back up. Is that like a fancy thing?
Foaming soap? They foamed it for you. You don't have to rub your hands together. Of course, it's a fancy thing. It's luxury. It's taking so much work out of the human
I
body.
think we might have had it in middle school after like the renovation.
I am struggling to believe that foaming soap is like a sign of a gentrified school. Is that true?
We had no foaming soap. Did you
we
have
did not have foaming soap until they did very loud renovations throughout my entire middle school.
Did your water fountains taste like rust?
No.
My gosh, what kind of spaceship did you go to
Newfangled,
school
yeah,
on?
it's the USS Gladys.
Holy
Elementary.
cow.
Okay. I put
Wow.
some of this space age Tempur-Pedic frickin' moon space race USSR soap in my hand.
And was it lavender scented? What were we doing?
No, it wasn't lavender.
Honeysuckle? What
It was sterile. It was
sterile.
totally,
that's our soap smelled like
Yeah,
that.
so
It was like pink and sterile.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
It was like
Yeah.
the Kool-Aid flavors are red and blue, and the soap flavors are sterile and pink.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Anyways,
Mm-hmm.
I put some soap in my hand. I throw it on him. Over like I throw it over the stall onto him. Not even that fucking much. It's not even that big of a deal. And
How
at this,
old were you?
I was like, well, let's see, 4th grade, so 9
Okay.
or so. That was my problem. Is I talked a lot, and I was also a little antagonistic. Like,
It's
this
impulsive.
it's
yeah.
and like this has changed at all, Georgia? Back me up on this.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I have to clap back. Anyways, I get kicked out of my 4th grade class.
For throwing soap.
Yeah, for throwing soap, and so they put me in the other 4th grade class. They put me because there's the GT who gives a shits, and then there's the regulars. And honestly, I would have thriven. I would have throbbed in the other classes. Seriously, it was so much more fun. They were so much more chill. You could really just
Those
do it.
those less than people. Those
Honestly, yeah.
we do feel. Should we censor ourselves on our arrogance of being in these programs? No. Let's just. This is what the,
Yeah,
the
this
program is what it is.
I did take. So I was always in honors classes in high school, and the one year that I couldn't, like the scheduling wouldn't let me be in like a honors class history. They put all the honors kids that were supposed to be in the honors history in the back of the room, and we had a great time.
Dude, yes.
And you just saw the craziest shit happening around you. Like it was, but it was like a particularly not honors class we were dealing with.
Right. Dude, health class
I'm
was
in
that.
I'm in PNH English.
They took a class where they were taking all the kids who were special ed on different spectrums and shoving us all together, and we had
Rainbow
so
Coalition.
much fun.
Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
great. I crucified a peep that year. It was all right.
Oh my god.
it was dope.
No, it's I don't know. I think this is the same. I mean, we talked about this in the first episode, but I think the honors kids or the GT kids are at a disadvantage because they start out with their own kind from the get-go, and they only hang out with themselves, and they only talk to them. And the adults they push them together, like they just only be with these people, and their parents are the same way. But I think regular kids, I say regular, just like non-special program
What do we
kids.
call non-specials? I think we should call them non-specials.
Yeah, completely
Unspecial.
the unspecial. Which so many pejoratives. So, the pod people. I think they're at an advantage because they actually have to learn how to deal with us, but we do not have to learn how to deal with them.
And just like we were talking before we recorded, like the amount of disappointment in this room right here, right now.
Oh,
just
yes.
the resentment
and like
futures gone by. Lost potential.
And those kids were disappointments from the beginning.
Yeah.
And they knew how to fight through that.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just like, oh, I'm going to be something. And then you have to lose it.
Yeah, you
have
have to hold on to it. Whereas a regular
and
person
cling
can
to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
A normal person can gain achievements and have victories and losses, whatever life is growing, but we have this like pre-existing notion of everything, and we can only lose it. I mean, yeah.
Gosh, it's so hard being special.
Really?
You also look at like every business job I've ever had, and you're like, oh, the people who are thriving are the people who are just on the football team, and because they were tough, and they learned discipline, and they learned how to share, and they learned how to get hit and get back up. Whatever it is,
God.
it's like it's.
Was that movie Rudy?
I think
you're
so.
talking about?
I think and. People who can watch Tony Robbins and be like, yes. And like, and I do like Tony Robbins. I find him very brilliant. But like, who can watch it and then take that as action and then go?
Yeah,
like that's a skill.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, no, I think like being just like a normal person, like no flair to it, whatever, and being able to work
is so much more important.
It is like
it's a fucking superpower.
Freaking was so good at things.
Mm-hmm.
I was like good at things as soon as I picked them up.
Oh yeah.
And then you just kind of like lose that ability to get better at those things.
That's the thing.
No process.
Yeah.
No process.
Being good is way less important than being able to get better.
And it's also how I hid like being ADHD for so
you
long.
overachieve, yeah,
because I had like all of these insane like coping mechanisms. Like I had a whole system in my head that was like workarounds for things that could have just been simple.
Dude.
Like if somebody had just sat down and taught me like how to keep a planner, how to like do but I had like all these like insane reminders and like wild ways of doing
timers
things.
And stopwatches and
I like hung out with all the smart kids so that they would remind me like when things were that's why I let them check my grades and stuff
because they knew when things were coming up.
Yeah, so it was like a full social defense mechanism around but to them like they were always like I would kind of piss them off because they'd be like, Georgia, how the hell did you do well on this test? Like, we know you didn't prep for this. This kind of thing. So I was always the most chaotic of the put-togethers.
Chaotic of the put-togethers. That's well said.
Yeah.
There was a girl I went to college with. I can name drop Amanda.
Hell yeah.
Last name we don't need to do. Right? Does she want this? I don't know if she wants this. I don't think she does because I think she's a teacher now. But she was a math major.
Okay.
So not an easy major in college. And she never looked at a test score. Never looked at her grades. She would get a test back, fold it up, put it in the garbage.
Oh my
and we'd be
God.
like, how do you know how you're doing? She's like, I'm trying the best I can. And we're like, but
that is amazing.
I was like, but don't you know? Aren't you trying to become a teacher? Don't you need to know like your grades before you can get a job? He's like, no,
unwise.
I
don't want to know.
love that more than anything I've
Yeah,
ever heard.
it was the coolest move I'd ever see because you'd sit next to her in class and be like, you'd be like sweating over getting your test back. You get it back and you'd be like thrilled or devastated or whatever.
You're going
and you're
through
like,
it
well,
line
how'd
by
you do?
line.
She's like, I don't know. I studied good for this one. Like that's all she could.
That's interesting.
And then the test would go in the garbage. It would blow my mind.
That's actually very ballsy.
Ballsy, yes.
That's very ballsy. I
See,
would not be able to do
that's
that.
somebody who's like rooted in I'm doing the best I can, which
Mhm.
is where like gifted program you end up like I don't know, I wasn't trying that hard, but it's
Yeah.
like here's all these accolades for
Yeah.
just existing.
Oh, that's exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Which is why I need people to laugh at me.
And
Exactly.
every single
It's
little
exactly
thing.
Goddamn
why we
day.
met in comedy, yes.
Oh my God.
This is where this is like I had to have my own kids to start wrestling with this, which is that your value is inherent in who you are.
Mhm.
Not you don't achieve your value, and you can look. I think we may have talked about this one time, Zivan.
Mm.
It's like you are either a strange, just a statistical impossibility to exist, right?
Mhm.
Or you're made in the image of God. Whatever you're going to pick one of those two
Mhm.
worldviews, and both of those you have an inherent value, like just
Mhm.
from existing, and everything else that you do to try to achieve value is worthless and a failing and
Yeah, and if anything, it just sullies it.
and can be it can sully it and can be taken away in a second.
Yeah.
And then where's your value? And then how do you crumble? And I remember being before we had kids, I'm outside in our front yard in Portland, and our neighbor is arguing with his kid about who knows what. His kid is at this time 3 years old, 4 years old, and he yells at his daughter, "You don't need to justify your own existence."
Wow.
This is what he yells at his kid, and I was like, what the hell does that mean? And I was like, he must have just like read something out of a parenting book and then like copied it verbatim and just
Yeah.
like said it like he was so
Or he's
in the
playing
moment.
Jeopardy.
He just gave it exact verbatim, and I'm telling you, 10 years later, like it all clicked to me. Like, oh yeah, you don't need to justify
Yeah.
your own existence. He was right.
It's very
It
silly
was
Yeah.
too.
the
My
Yeah.
weirdest thing
therapist
to
used
say
to
to a
tell
kid.
me that a lot because
Maybe he's been through therapy.
I've been a very external. I was like very like I do all these things. I play all these sports. I
Mhm.
lead all these clubs.
You play instruments too.
Yeah, I was in marching band. I was
Mhm.
like really good
Yeah.
at music, all of that. And then I got to college and everything fell apart. And then
Word.
I didn't know what to do. I was like, I'm not achieving everything.
Mhm.
Like, how do you justify being a person if
Mhm.
you're not winning
Dude.
everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. It's honestly so exhausting. I think the only like concession I've been able to make is it's not so much I have to win at things, but it's like I have to be like I've kind of gone 1 degree down
Yes.
where it's like I don't have to necessarily be succeeding, but I have to be active. Like like the existence, you know, I'm constantly winding myself up like a flashlight. Like that's what I have
See,
to
that
do.
would have been healthier.
It's
It is
it's,
healthier.
it's,
I mean,
it's
it
slightly healthier.
No,
it's
it
not.
would have been healthier than because like if you're like fully, I have all these external things that validate me being amazing.
Mhm.
Then if you miss those things, the motivation goes so
it's
quickly.
immediately gone.
Yeah.
Like, and
immediately gone.
like, we'll just throw the gay thing out here. Like, I was very overachieving because I was like, look at all these other things. Don't worry about why I'm not dating. Don't worry about me
Of course you're not
staring into
dating.
my friend's eyes slightly too long.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about any of that. And then I came out and I wasn't achieving the things I wanted
Oh,
to achieve.
double whammy.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And so it was like, what matters anymore. Like that, I spent like a whole year of my life being like
adrift.
Like I do not have inherent value, you know, because it all flipped.
Yeah.
Like the big secret was out and all of that. And it took forever. I'm still clawing my way back. But I feel like it's healthier to like have that steady motivation throughout than to need those like big moments to like get the dopamine hit going.
Everything
so
is
just
all or nothing. This is it, you know.
Now that we're in Pride Month, this is a good point. Would you recommend people come out when they're like, when they just are awarded first chair?
Oh my God!
Should it be?
No, this is a good question. Answer the question, Georgia.
When they get their test back, when report cards come out.
You get the A+. You look over at your friend. You give him a big kiss. Like, I just want
if
you
I
to
had
know.
just gotten drum major of my college
Drum
band
major.
my
That's what it
freshman
should be.
year.
Yes.
No, no. I would say to any
We
gay,
can't send you to Harvard. You might come out.
I would say to any gay kids listening to this, turn this off. And also, no, I think coming out's like a do it when you're comfy, but
You shouldn't line it up with an achievement.
see, I decided to line it up with my parents' divorce because I was like
Decided.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really decide when I came out. That was a whole other situation, but it ended up lining up with my parents' divorce, so it was kind of like very like we were both like, it was disappointing.
And any facade is crumbling, right?
Yes.
There's no, you can't hide behind anything.
While we're at it.
But then I realized
almost.
like so much of my personality had been built up on all these external things, and so when the facade breaks, you're like, who the fuck am I?
You know
like,
what? Do you almost think if it? This is so stupid, but like, not everyone comes out. Even people who need to come out don't come out. But the vast majority of people do not have a thing to come out into, or maybe they don't think they do.
Everybody's got a secret.
No, that's true. That's true. But a lot of either way, most people don't unveil it.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And so, I almost wonder like if that's actually super valuable to have something that's so close to you but has to remain secret, and then you have to go to the process of figuring out who you are. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, not everyone has to go. It's almost like not everyone has gone to like rehab, for instance, and so they don't necessarily have had to like rebuild themselves.
Yes. But everyone needs to go through that process,
exactly,
or could benefit from going through.
Exactly. So it could either be coming out, it could be rehab, it could be something. But I think it's something about reconstruction is so valuable.
It taught me that like that secret thing that or the conversation you're afraid of having, all being in the closet is a difficult conversation. It is not a physical place. It can feel like a physical place. It can feel so freaking confining, but it is just a difficult conversation. And whatever happens after that, you can handle it for the most part. I don't know. It got pretty bad. It got pretty bad, but it's just a difficult conversation. And then I had to like look at, you know, if I'm being on, like it teaches you to like be honest with yourself and like not to shove those things down, because if you do,
it gets ugly.
Yeah.
And what do you put in its place? Something's got to take its place.
It's a vacuum.
You take its place, but you got to figure out who you are, and it gives you like all this time. Honestly, I for a while was like, well, I'm very lost. Like you can feel very lost after it too, especially if like your family's not affirming, that kind of thing. But as I was like slowly figuring out who I was, and it sucked through the process so much. But it's part of why I started doing stand-up, was that I was like, I mean, if I'm going to keep living, I'm going to do the things that I actually want to do. And doing stand-up was one that got shoved down when I was younger, because I like told my parents, I was like, I really want to do this.
Oh, cool.
And my mom told me, one of your parents has to die first. You need some kind of real trauma.
Like, well, how would I come out and you guys get divorced? Is that the same?
Yeah.
I
was
feel like that's
let's do it now.
Could be an equivalent.
She was right in a sense.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. And I don't think you necessarily need like hard, fast trauma to.
Yeah, to anybody
comedy,
listening, you should just, if you stub your toe, you're already in.
Right. No, but it helps.
It does help. It helps a ton.
Though, because it helped me like start to have my voice instead of like the voice of what I thought other people would want.
Exactly.
But you need like both of those to do stand up. Like you need a little bit of that people pleaser, what other people want, and you need this is what I actually think.
Exactly. This is what I want to say. This is what I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it was because like honestly, my mom didn't take the coming out thing well, but she like came around eventually. She's really cool now.
Mm-hmm.
Stand up, I think, scares her more now.
Really?
Than me being gay. Like,
right? Because
she's right.
it's a very limited spectrum of what, compared to stand up, what you could say on stage is way more dangerous than what you could do
just being gay.
Just being gay.
Just being
yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You're pretty harmless, but that's
And you get that self-expression in stand-up. Like, I think that's like the selfish thing that we all enjoy out of it is like, I get to tell these people what I want to talk about,
right,
and try and tell them what they want to hear, which is the gross.
Or convince them that what they want to hear is what I'm going to talk about,
which is even better. Yes,
yeah, that's like
I was always walking that tightrope with like friends and teachers and like everybody else. Like,
good point. That's you're already used to just it's very performative.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You're already giving people what they want to hear. You're already creating this.
But
image
now
of
you've
yourself.
like tapped into like a real use, and now you got to figure out.
You're
you
in on
use
it.
the skill that you've built over
exactly.
so long.
Exactly. Like if while we're at it, while I'm already doing this, let me be in control of it.
Yeah.
That's so. I feel like that's so much of, like when people talk about like social norms and being polite and interacting with people, people will often criticize that a little bit. That's so performative, and it's like it is. So learn how to perform. Literally,
I've been working on this bit.
Yeah.
I got called fake nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, isn't all nice fake nice? Like, aren't we trying? Isn't that the goal?
Is
I
to
thought
try
it was
to be
trying to be
nice.
a better person.
Yeah.
Isn't that the goal, to be nice?
Precise.
Of course it's fake.
Yeah.
I'm not nice. Going Larry David.
It's very comedian.
The quote that I'll go back to again, and I'm paraphrasing it, so it's not a quote. It's Tim Keller, this guy, and he said something like, "Our greatest hope and our greatest fear is to be known."
Oh my gosh!
And it just that blows my mind whenever I like dig into that. I was like, oh yeah, that's all I want to say is something I don't want to say. Is that kind of feeling like?
Yeah, but I like after coming out, like I love those things. Like when I find them, I do tend to shy away from some of them. Like there are some things that I really want to talk about on stage so badly.
Word.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think my writing ability is there
That's
yet
all it is,
to talk about
yes.
those things.
And you're or the bit's not
like
there
you're
yet.
like waiting. Yeah, you're like, but
it's like an
but
empty.
The ones like I didn't want to talk about. One of my like bits that's been like a mainstay in my set now is about like them banning gay books, and I didn't want to talk about it because I felt like it was being discussed a lot. People have very strong opinions about it. Like I've had family members that completely support me, but they're like, but I don't know if I want my kids, you know, like that kind
and they
of
don't
thing.
see the
And it feels
dissonance
very
there.
personal.
Yeah.
But I wanted to freaking talk about it. And I like once I cracked the code on like how to talk
On
about
the bit
that in my
itself,
set and got them to laugh at the like even the concept of banning books at all, like that.
I really
was,
like that bit. Yeah.
that was like the piece. So those are the kinds of things. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's huge. It's I feel like at least in my writing, it's been when you have something like that you really want to talk about, that just everything you said, it feels like it's been done before and it's harder and it's whatever, and you want to come at it with a fresh perspective. It's also, I don't know if this is what actually works for me, but I think what works for me is I really like try to observe myself thinking about that subject. Almost like what are the
put
little
yourself
tangents?
inside of the thought bubble.
Yeah, and what are the little tangents that I'm coming off with, or
Yes.
what do I associate when I think about this, or what are my feelings? And then if you can touch into those details, it feels much more fun, and you're not using talking point A or talking point B. You're using my personal experience that can have a point of view.
Yeah.
Yes, that is what I felt like I found with that bit was like it almost started with like all of my arguments because I love to argue point. That's another thing that got me in trouble a lot as a kid.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
But I had all of these like reasons of like why this is just goofy. Like this is a stupid thing that we're trying to do. But then along the way I found all these personal stories to go with it.
Yeah.
And the more I personalized it, the more I was like, yeah, we can paint this picture where you're not really that bit started as almost like a thesis statement and then arguments.
Right.
And then I found
in
how
this
to
essay I will.
Yes, it was very that vibe, and I didn't like that. I didn't want it to be me just outright saying, "Let's not ban gay books." That's dumb. I don't want to do that. I want you to laugh
at a bit.
Yeah. I want you to laugh, and I want you to laugh at the thought of that. Like, make it so ridiculous that you're just like,
blow it up.
And now here's all the different experiences I've had that are hilarious as to why this is stupid. And
and even that formula, I don't know if this is the right way to write, but maybe in 20 years you'll write in a much more efficient way than this, but I also enjoy to do lay it out like a thesis and then write all the jokes that you can, and then you find that I call it scaffolding always, like that all of that framework was there, you needed it, but you're only going to use 3 of those lines. And it's going to evolve into its own thing.
I mean that's the terrifying inefficiency of writing.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Maybe in 20 years you'll be able to just stand on stage, know what you're going to talk about, and know to skip all of those logical points that get you to...
I don't think of that as inefficient necessarily, though.
I think it's just part of it. I think it's...
A lot of my one-liners that I used for the one-liner competition were thrown out jokes that I felt didn't add to the point I was making, but I'm still sitting on them because...
They're good lines.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. I think...
I think you might find it later.
No, that's and that's why I like to keep all of my stuff, in front of me just to flip through. But it's there is this element of I think when I start writing, I at the top I say this is just going to take forever. This is just it's going to be 5 and I'm not it's not like a defeatist thing. It's just I'm going to do 5 pages, and if only 2 things come out of it, I've accepted that. That's fine. Okay. Swallow that pill. Okay, get to it. And usually it's more. Usually it's a lot actually there's something going on here and I can use more of this, but coming to terms with this is probably mediocre is a good just starting position.
I feel like I can't write in the way you write, which is I'm going to fill 5 pages, or I'm going to write 10 tags for this thing.
Because you don't experience mania.
Well, I don't experience structure.
That's true.
Okay. But I feel like I do, if I don't feel this can be a really good, to me, smart bit. And some of my bits are stupid. I also love those dearly. I love a good, stupid, dumb line.
Those are the best.
But if I don't have I don't know, there's a feeling I get when I'm this thing is gonna be something. It's
Which
not
is
there
as good
now.
as any feeling.
It's great.
Yes.
It's almost like being flirted with by an idea.
But once I tap into that, I have to write as much as humanly possible in that moment, in that headspace, because it's so much about the feeling. I have a bit that I wrote a while back about my grandma watching porn. And
everyone needs one.
It doesn't have the spice to it that it did the week after my dad called and was like, she crashed another fucking computer. It doesn't. I have to get myself in the right headspace.
Honestly, pick up the phone and pretend like someone's telling you this. Yeah, okay.
And it's I can't get it to hit the same because
honestly,
of the feeling.
say that. Try saying that on stage. I'm telling you this story now, and I'm even now as I'm feeling it doesn't have the spice that it has.
That's actually
maybe that's a way to edge back into that. But edge. Oh God, grandma. But
I think she's not edging. I think she's.
Oh no, she's not.
She's showing her work and turning it in.
She's crushing it out here. But oh man, but yeah, I feel like mine are very feelings based rather than it's quantitative, qualitative.
I think for me, I just don't trust myself. I don't trust my own inspiration. I don't trust my own instincts.
Oh, for sure.
I just think, you know what? I'm not going to have any good ideas. So let's just be very mechanical about it.
Well, and you're going to have, I have a weird relationship with my recorded self. So I'll write a voice memo or, do a voice memo, record a voice memo and be like, who was that guy that thought that was funny? Who... Yeah, that wasn't me that thought that was funny because I don't think that's funny. And that's also who's going to edit your stuff is 10 future yous. And it's like you said, you're in a different space and it's the flow is different and the feelings are different. And you with different feelings or you with different levels of mental health are going to come back and evaluate that work from different perspectives. You can provide different perspectives for your own self, which is really good to remember because then you're not as judgmental
That's true.
of yourself.
That's
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
more freeing of yourself.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because I really do have a tendency, like if something really bad happens,
Mm.
I will sit down and start writing the bit in the darkest form that it exists,
Mhm.
depending on
Just
what
like
the
the
thing is.
ugliest, most.
And I tried that with, okay, so not the porn grandma, but my other grandma when she
Not the
fell.
porn grandma.
My other older grandma who does not look up porn.
Mm.
She fell and I was pissed about it, like pissed at my whole family, like was like, get her in a nursing home.
Mhm.
What are we doing?
Mhm.
And for 2 weeks I tried to run a bit on it that just came off like
Yeah.
my grandma fell and I'm sad and angry.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it took that like 2 weeks and I almost gave up on the whole thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
But then it was a later me that was like, all right,
let's
listen,
try to do
this is ridiculous.
Mhm.
Like now we can laugh at
yeah,
the
it's
thing,
absurd.
you know?
It's weird.
Like just accept this is what's happening.
that's-
so
that
yeah,
is-
it
Yeah,
is.
and
It's
you can
always
keep some of that original emotion in there too,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I try to capture it when the emotions are happening. But I
Yes.
also end up leaving myself the dumbest like ideas notes
Oh,
in my
God.
notes app. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I'm ciphering through them. I'm like, what is this? What
It's
did we
honestly,
think was
it's
happening
very
here?
bizarre. It's yeah. No, I know what you mean.
How far back do your notes go of having been what do you call it, harvested or whatever? Do you know what I mean? Like, so
Oh,
I have
like,
voice memos that are a year old, a literal year old of me saying this would be a good bit and saying to my phone that I have not reviewed or
Mhm.
expanded upon or tried on
How
stage.
far does the
Yeah,
library go?
I have a backlog, and I'm going to call it a backlog generously because it's not it's just it's a backlog of ideas. It's not a backlog of,
Oh yeah, no, of
jokes.
course.
but
yeah.
mine's a year.
Mm.
I have nothing but untested ideas.
Well, what about you?
I keep like a list
Mm,
of
mhm.
these are a good idea. And I also I definitely have notes from like early stand up, which for me was like
2019.
yeah, 2019. So I've got stuff in there that's but sometimes I go back and look at those and I'm like, you
Fool.
you
Oh yeah.
you were so naive, so young. But yeah.
For me, I think the half life, whatever the rollover is, it's also probably about. I'm thinking like the oil spill duck joke started as a headline for a satire piece that I wanted to do. Then I wrote the piece. The piece was rejected because they're cowards.
The Onion?
I read the
Not the
piece.
Onion. My school paper.
It was a good
School paper.
piece.
Thank
I read
you.
the piece.
Thank you. I even got artwork of a duck with dripping with oil with like a camera in its face, and it was looking very disappointed in itself. I even got artwork for it, and I was like, "Why are
Well,
we
that's
not?"
where you went wrong.
Yeah.
The duck would have been proud of the blackface. The
Actually,
oil.
that actually makes a lot of sense.
Don't paint the picture. Paint the picture with your words.
That's a good point. That's a good
Yeah.
point. So I wrote the article, but I remember just sitting on it and being like, "This is actually a funny sentence," but I don't know. So it took me about let's see, 2021 fall, so a year. It's taken me about a year and a half to like actually crack it, to have it, and it's not even. It's literally just one sentence now, but that's
always my fear.
is that something will
Yeah,
like
'cause I
completely
have-
condense into one thing.
I go back and forth with this a lot
Mhm.
because I had jokes that were way too like wordy early on, like
Mhm.
that I was getting like a 10-minute set and like
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
3 minutes of that was setups. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if you
Oh, yeah.
really broke it
Sure.
down.
Oh yeah.
And now I've like gotten better at tightening it up, but I'm always like, is this a bit or is this just
Is it just the
one
sentence?
line?
Dude,
And it
yes.
terrifies me. And I
Yeah.
think it can be both sometimes.
Yeah,
though.
no, exactly.
Like the one-liner thing, I condensed some stuff down. I rewrote some jokes and made them better, but
Mhm.
like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm always more prone to just have a really loose cloud of an idea, and then I get one piece of hail out of it, and I'm okay with that.
Loose cloud, one hail. I like that.
Well,
Did you just come up with that?
Yeah.
I
That's
need
really
a
good.
2-minute storm.
Yeah.
Every single bit.
I think it also depends on
windows
what-
are rattling and
If you're doing a 5-minute set, then yes, all of those need to be condensed into the tightest
Golf
lines.
balls.
That's why it's a tight 5, right? And you want to get boom, 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 boom joke.
Mhm.
If you're doing a headlining set, you might need that to get the audience on your side if they don't know who you are.
Mhm.
And then you can meander, and people want to see you think, and they want to
Yeah.
see you play around. But you have to earn it, and you earn
Yeah.
it with those tight jokes. This is me
Yeah.
talking as somebody who is not done this process completely, who's like still wrestling.
No, but it's valuable. Yeah.
I spent a lot of my spring this year making maple syrup, and let me tell you what, at a 40-to-1 ratio, the sugar maple is a labor of love, and you only gain 1 out of 40.
Oh yeah.
1 out of 40. That's a sugar maple. If you use a silver maple or any other type of maple, you're at 1 out of 60 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup, and hours of fire and burning and reducing. And so, all I'm saying is, if you like pancakes, okay, you've got to squeeze the juice out of the thing.
Right.
No, that's honestly what I'm nervous about is like, okay, so you guys know Aaliyah Kanani, the Barn House,
the one,
yes, that one.
Next door. She's not there now.
She's not here right now, but she's on tour, and she was telling me about her kind of journey where she sort of started with like a 15-minute, and then had to grow it into a 30-minute, and had to grow that into like a festival long hour. So she had like a Q&A. She blew some stuff up. She made things work, and to me, I'm petrified of that because I feel like every single second that I have in my set has to be a very written, structured thing. And so then I look at someone like her who was doing hours a year and a half into her thing, and I look at myself and I'm like, if I go by the rules that I have set in my mind, it will take me forever to get to that point. Like I'm scared that
you're
I
doing different things though. You're doing
that's true.
I don't think that's a necessarily bad thing because like I've always clung to like I built 10 minutes. Now it's a better 10 minutes, you know, but I've always like clung to like the ideas that I know I can smash into that set to make it a longer set. Whereas I know people who focus so much on focused like 4 or 5 years on just getting some like banger jokes, like just getting the ones that like freaking like rip into it, always gets all the laughs. And now they have like better 20-minute sets than what will pass for me a year and a half. You know, like it's kind of a balance.
There's different. I'm sometimes nervous. I'm just like, God damn, if I'm winning this battle by 15-second intervals and this person is jumping by 5s, they're going to be able. It's really just a question of time, and it's
you can build time.
That's true,
but it doesn't mean it's good time.
That's true. Well, and I also sorry, go ahead.
No.
Well, okay, but one thing that does make me feel better is it does seem like the tighter that you write, the faster you can write because those circuits light up a lot faster, and so that kind of I've seen people who I think are like master joke writers, and I think they can actually build time a lot faster because they can actually write better things quicker. Like that
that comes with time.
That does come with and so it's not impossible, but it's it's a little daunting.
Yeah, but I run into like. Because you're testing things at like 5-minute, maybe 10-minute intervals at mics. And I've run into parts of my set that used to work because they were smashed into a 5, don't sustain like I need them to. And I think if you focus on like the quality, though, you'll be able to sustain.
That's true. Focusing on quality, I think, is important. Just always having like a standard for things.
And I mean, there's going to come a point, though, where like, you're going to have to say shit on stage that gets you across the finish line of the time that you have with the people. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like not many comedians, especially ones as early on as us, are going to have like a tight hour. You know what I mean? Like no one has a fully like
the number one delusion of every young comic is how much time they have. Like there was a recent post in the Pittsburgh comics
and
page.
I felt weird. I put 15 and I was like, I should put 10 to 15.
I don't even want to answer the question publicly. Like anyone who answers that, I didn't read your answer, Georgia, but anyone who answers that, I judge them and I go, you got half of that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Immediately. It doesn't matter how much time they say.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how much.
Yeah. Immediately cut it down.
Cut it in half. It's like when you're in college. When I was in college, at least, and they were all like, I had 10 beers. I got so drunk. Like, you had 5, and you did, and you didn't have
you had 20.
Yeah, you go up, you go down.
But
you're right. As you get older, you double it.
No, it's the same thing at CMU. People would say, I got I've been studying for 10 hours. I'm like, you were in the library for 12. You looked at your phone for 8.
Dude,
Correct.
I got 15-minute sets way too early on. Like ones where I was walking up there, like if you forget a tag, you are fucked.
That's great.
Like you gotta have every single thing
note,
that you have.
Yeah.
And now that's what makes me think that now, I mean, there's always like every 15-minute set I've done, there's always like 2 to 3 minutes that I would love to cut out. Like I think I've got a decent 12.
That's a fun thing.
But
Yes.
there's always that like part of it. But I at least have stuff on the back burner now where like if I'm under time I can throw out more shit.
What was the first longest set like that you didn't, like that 15-minute one or whatever? What's the longest, earliest that you didn't deserve, couldn't fill?
I mean that one, but I made it to my 15.
What kind of show was it? Tell me about the show.
It was a really good show. Thank you, Derek Minto, for putting me on it. It
Kingfly?
was Kingfly.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
I had it early, and I mean, I think that they saw like potential, you know what I mean?
As I do.
But part of the issue that night was that I was supposed to go up like early, obviously. And I got put on a show by Shannon Norman at Arcade Comedy Theater earlier that night. So I ended up having to follow Aaron Kleiber. And I was like, there's no fucking comparison here. Like, there was no way I was going to be able to deliver
He's
at
a
that
very
level. I mean,
explosive
he's
comic.
great. He's got great energy. He's been doing this for so long. And I'm just over here like, oh, I've been doing this for a solid 8 months, 4 mics a week. Like,
You know what?
it's not.
Well, you know what just occurred to me is that I feel like stand-up is actually the only art. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm totally full of shit. It is kind of the only art form where you can have people of wildly different experiences in the same space on the same show. And I actually think that's actually super valid. Like, obviously, like, it's intimidating as the younger comic, but I actually think ideally both groups can really benefit. If you're a more experienced comedian, you can see how hard people are working. You can see what people are trying out, because usually newer comics are more innovative in some ways. And so you can kind of get some like reintroduce some energy. And then as a younger comedian, you can see, oh, like this is like honestly, Chris, when I saw you at State College, I was like, oh, that is the kind of karate that I want to be doing.
Oh, well, thank you.
I was very much like, this is so sharp. This is so good. This is so well written. They're just eating it up. The pacing is really interesting, and so I'm like, okay, this is what I can be doing.
I think that's a good thing too. First of all, let's say that again. But then also, like to see someone 10 levels above you is daunting and impossible. See someone, I'm not above you, but you know what I'm saying. Like I'm just doing it a little longer.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, that's attainable. And
exactly.
Like, I can see some of the moves that I have to do.
When we see John Mulaney, there's not. I mean. I'm like, I am thinking about like, okay, this is written a certain way, and I'm thinking about it, but I'm not.
I think about that with Sarah Silverman a lot.
Right.
Like she was like my like number one fave. I've recently realized
she's incredible.
Yeah, she's amazing. But I used to watch her specials all the time, and like I went back and rewatched them. Like I hadn't watched stand up for like the whole time, like for a year of doing stand up. I really didn't watch stand up because I was so like, I don't want to pick up something subconsciously.
Yeah.
And then I went back and watched, and I was like, oh, I see where you got that joke.
Yeah.
Like not stealing material, just like the style of it, bled into my brain.
Oh, yeah.
And but like the infancy of what she has, you know, like.
It leaches into the soil. No,
but to get to that level, it feels like impossible. Whereas there are like a couple open mic scene people that I'm like, I can see me going in that direction.
Yeah.
Like this, I like what happened with this bit here, and like how to tap into that energy, like that kind of thing.
Honestly, it's very not to name drop again. This is the sloppiest podcast in Pittsburgh. We're just saying everybody. Lorenzo De Silvio is an incredible writer.
Yes.
He's such a good writer.
Absolutely.
Also likable.
He's also just an incredibly nice person.
Yeah.
Very nice person. I mean, I could talk about him for hours, but one thing that I remember when I was getting ready for the one-liner competition was I would write something or I would edit something and I would look at it, and with a couple of jokes I remember thinking like, this sounds like somebody. Like this like has a certain to it. And a lot of the time the more successful jokes that I had were ones that I kind of sounded a little De Silvioan, like a little, like just not the same, but just like a little bit of like, oh, that would be a turn he would use, or like that would be like an expression he might use. And I think that's it's really cool to like know someone personally, where I'm like, what you're doing, I would like to kind of be doing it too.
Yeah.
In my own way.
Yeah, which, by the way, I am so horrifically jealous of Lorenzo and your ability to like write jokes like that.
Oh.
But listen, okay, we're too different. Don't let that inflate your ego.
No, it's
okay?
like, I'm wearing a hat for a reason.
But those kind of jokes where it's just like this observation and you just pull out like the spooky hand job.
Oh my
God, man!
Even the spooky hand job. It's
It just tapped into my soul and was like, "What are you writing?
Yeah.
What are you doing, Georgia?
God, no.
What are you offering the world?"
Well, he's a
that
freaking
is spooky
machine.
hand
Oh
job.
my God! Well, in a way, with his stuff, it actually makes me a little bit hopeful, because it's like, oh, jokes really can just be simple little word finger painting. Like it can just be that. It's obviously like, it's almost, oh God, this is okay. Forgive the comparison, but it's like, like when you look at Picasso.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Right.
When but when you look at like really, 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 really like cool modern art that's really simple, and then you look at, God damn it. Okay, this is horrible.
For the listening audience.
Yeah, no, it's just
Zivan has officially started blowing himself.
Oh, God,
I just
yeah.
need you all to get the picture.
What you have to understand is. No, okay, maybe Picasso's a bit, but basically
no,
just.
No, I get it.
And really, I'm talking about Lorenzo. It's mostly just like, there is just this element of simplicity, and it kind of does make me think like, oh, things can really just be, it takes forever to get things that simple, but once it's that simple, don't touch it.
Did you ever see Laurie Kilmartin's list of transitions?
Oh yeah, they're right.
Yeah.
They're in a cup right over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you just, because honestly, I thought Conan always had the best monologue jokes, and you would see, once you read that list, it's like they just dissected
everything
joke.
just you could see the Matrix.
Yeah, you could see them. Yeah.
Someone,
here's a beautiful ballroom, but I see now how you set the table and how you did everything, and everything
exactly.
was chosen. Yeah, and so that exists. But then it's just like anything, right? You have to learn the rules to break the rules, and blah 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 blah. And it's the geniuses who do that.
And,
we're gonna be there.
Meanwhile, us
not right now.
kids didn't learn the rules. I didn't learn the rules.
Yeah,
we weren't there to pay it. We skipped. We zoned out during the rules because we had it all figured out.
We were like, I got the end result. I don't need.
Yeah, exactly. I'm already there, dude. I'm already at the. Yeah,
and that's how stand-up a little bit, because I always started on like the ranty thing, and I never got like the one-liner.
Honestly,
piece of it.
I really had such a fun time watching everybody's different styles and deliveries, because that's in a sense that competition was like the best possible show, because it's literally, what do all of these comics collectively think is the funniest thing they have to say
in the shortest amount of time.
In the shortest amount of time. So just da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
We had first of all, there was a contest. Does everyone know that there was a contest? All of our listeners, there's a stand-up contest, 64 comics.
One-liner madness.
One-liner madness, March Madness style bracket. You went head-to-head with another comic, gave your best joke in 3 lines or less. And Zivan won it, the person sitting across from me. And but also, what was, I thought, cool about it, from the audience loved it.
Oh, they were going crazy.
The hosting was very important. The bringing up the people, let's not name names, who did their one-liner jokes at the top as the host set, which is a tough spot to do it. And those all kind of bombed, all of those one-liner jokes at the beginning, but they took those bullets. That's why it's called taking a bullet. That they did that and got it on the right like energy. But then I think the audience particularly loved that show because, as an audience member, going to a comedy show, when you're not going to see a name, we're not paying for a name on the marquee, you're paying for a show in general. You don't know who you're going to see, and you don't know how long you have to be with them, and you don't know if you're going to hate them. And so here, I don't know who I'm going to see, and I don't know if I'm going to hate them, but I know I'm only with them for 3 lines or less.
Oh, yeah.
And so I can laugh at even the worst joke I've ever heard because I know that person's gone.
Yeah. I don't pay them to stay. I pay them to leave.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
It was really I think, a fantastic energy as a person watching the show. I loved watching it. I hated being a part of it. I hated every second of
It was
it.
tremendously stressful.
My watch told me like it does like heart rate monitoring. And it's like, you need to take a break. And I was like, I'm just standing here watching this, running through my lines in my head. And they're like, no, I
was
should see a doctor.
I was nauseous prior, like right after a barbecue, and I was just like,
Oh, you're tasting the grill a little bit in those
a little bit.
ribs? Yeah,
the
that's
kebab. It was a good barbecue.
nice. Yeah, kebab. Anyone putting meat on a stick
It's
is
very
doing
tasty.
work. But it was I would do it again in a heartbeat, as I've said.
No,
many
If
times.
I did it again, I think I would just roast the people that I'm with.
I
That's all I'm capable. I thought
did-
about doing
yeah.
it. To
Yes.
be honest, when they released the bracket, I was like, I know what I'm capable of, and it's only that.
that would have been so cool.
And
off
you
the
only
wall.
That would have
you can pretty narrow down to only have to write
yeah.
8, 10. You
Yeah.
know who's going to be there
Mhm.
to meet you
Mm-hmm.
in the
Yeah.
later rounds.
Honestly, yeah, I did think about that because, like, for instance, Chris Scriva is really good at crowd
Actually,
work.
Chris, it came up to me immediately after like after I got out, and he was like, "Next one, we need to request that we go against each other and we just roast the
each other.
shit
Oh,
out
that
of
would
each
be
other."
very funny. That's not a bad idea. I think. Well, what I was worried or thinking about was like there's some people in this bracket who are really good crowd work comics. So I'm wondering, can they turn a
Right.
crowd work thing into a one? Like everybody, it was pretty much like these are jokes, these are jokes, these are jokes. But even in the email, they were like, you can bring props, you can be a character.
Yeah,
You
what if Screw just went up there and pointed at someone in the crowd and was like, "You look like,"
And then just
did
did
it.
it.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
and
got
then
out.
had them stand up. That's the
Yeah.
third line,
Yes,
and that's it. That would have been kind of cool.
that's actually cool. Have them roast them, then have them stand up. Because I was
Mhm.
thinking bring them up on stage and then say it, but I think the reveal of that person's face when
and they have the crazy big nose that you just shat on.
when they're like, you look like a postal worker from the 1700s, and then
Yeah.
you're like, huh? And then
they
that
stand
person
up.
stands up, you're like,
That's me. Yeah.
And Scream is one of the funniest, like pure funniest people we have.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do well in the contest, but he's one of the pure funniest people we have, and so you would
Mhm.
want to see him
Be able
thrive.
to exactly.
You want to see him because you want to. That's what the fun of it. You want to see everyone knock it out of the park.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Same thing with Adam Neidig. I mean, Adam Neidig was.
he was so
He
upset.
was so
he forgot
Neidig.
the whistle.
Oh God.
He
Jan
was
gave him that
like-
whistle.
He was like, if I just had the whistle.
He did capture
It
a lot
would've-
of his good energy, though.
He
Like,
did.
he
Yeah.
did do well in that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's his.
No, I mean Neidig is so unashamedly himself all the time.
Yeah.
There's really I've never seen him code switch. It's not a switch. It's
He was really good.
It's just Neidig.
yeah. It's Neidig's all the way down. Well, what are we? How are we doing on? I think we probably need to land the plane. So
This was fun.
yes, this was very good, and I am regretting my statements about Picasso. I want to stab
No, I'm
a
literally
steak
just-
knife into my neck.
I was fucking with. I was doing what I can do best, which is roasting. Because when I'm not
hate-
immediately good at something like a gifted child, I need to put that thing down.
And
That is
I had to self-deprecate, and I'll self-deprecate on your behalf. When I feel like
Ooh.
we're all getting too
Yes.
big in our britches, I need
Mhm.
to bring us all down so
Yeah,
that the cool
deflate.
kids will like us.
Yes, because
exactly.
they
You
need-
can't
that's
be
who-
successful
Oh
without
my.
hurting other people.
Exactly.
And that is what my therapist says is not true. You
Yeah.
can just be
Successful.
successful.
Well, that's always a great note to end on. I think this was a good,
Good.
good
Good job.
That
good
was a
callbacks.
great note to end.
Yeah,
Yes.
It really was.
fantastic. Well, thank you, Georgia, for joining us on the Gifted program.
Thank you, Georgia, and thank you, Steel
Steel
City Arts
City.
Foundation. Thank you, Zivan.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Alyssa, and mozzarella.
Mozzarella.
Yeah, mozzarella.
These are the people and dogs
People
in the other room.
and
that
none
have
were
Yeah.
harmed, at
Yes.
least physically. All right,
not yet.
fantastic. Ugh.